Today we're going to be seeing how Adam makes the perfect grilled cheese sandwich. I wonder if he seasons his cutting board before he makes them.
I usually don't season or flavor my steak, I flavor my cutting board.
If you do happen to enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like and a share. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and now, let's get started.
This is one of my local haunts. It's a burger and beer place, but one day we ordered the grilled cheese sandwich off the kids menu, and I was like, what is this? Did they make a grilled cheese out of a pancake? Oh, derp, it's a smashed hamburger bun, and it's crazy delicious. It's like a cross between a panini and a pastry.
So let me get this straight. Adam walks into his local brew pub. He sees grilled cheese on the kids menu, not on the adults, and he orders that instead. Well, there's nothing wrong about that. I mean, normally the portion sizes are a little smaller. It's also a lot cheaper, and I have to admit that sometimes when I look at the menu and I see like it's half price, yeah, I know. Quick question for all of you with kids. Have any of you honestly gone to like the zoo or anything where you had to enter and your child was like just a little older than what the minimum is to get in for half price? He's like 5 years old instead of like 7 or 8. Be honest.
This is Brandon Humphreys showing us how it's done. That's clarified butter he's rolling onto a brioche hamburger bun. Slice of Swiss and 2 slices of cheddar on the inside, and then he smashes it on the griddle with a weight. Brioche is buttery and a little sweet, so when it gets intense heat like this, it goes really brown and crispy.
My goodness, look at that flat top. I've worked in a lot of places, and I'll tell you right now that it's very typical, especially in a busy place, for your flat top to turn this color. However, all that crap that you see right there in the runoff and the grease trap, that should be clean, and so should the spatulas, because that's going to touch the food, and you don't want all these little charred bits. You don't want that in your food.
Which is why this sandwich tastes almost like a pastry. He flips it after 3 minutes, and the reason he cuts it before it's done cooking is so the cheese from the 2 halves will melt together again.
Do any of you notice anything that's sticking to the cheese on this grilled cheese? You'll see all these little black bits on the cheese. That's not flavor. Those are burnt bits, leftover pieces of whatever he was cooking on the flat top, bacon or whatnot. Grease that is stuck to the flat top, and now it's come loose and it's sticking to the food.
Then comes some fancy stuff.
We add a dome and do a little steam around the dome to ensure more moisture and the melting of the cheese.
That's just water that he squirted around there, and I guess it's seeping under the dome and steaming the sandwich a little bit.
You could also take a little ice cube, stick that under the little dome or whatever you have, a bowl as well, bowls work, and that will create the steam, which steam will help to make whatever you're trying to melt faster.
Well, certainly if you ever made a good basic grilled cheese sandwich at home, you know that covering it with a lid helps the cheese to melt all the way through before the bread burns.
Bloody hell, that is a filthy flat top. Like normally when you go out to a kitchen, not all places look like this, but quite a few places, there's not much hygiene in the kitchen. Like, people don't fanatically clean all the time.
Speaking of cheese, about a minute later, off it comes, and look at that stringy cheese oozing out as he pulls the halves apart. He got that by cutting the sandwich and then cooking it some more so the cheese melted back into itself. Honestly, that has no business being on the kids' menu. It's like they've discovered a whole new food. It's just so special, so good.
I do have to admit that a brioche grilled cheese is delicious. I mean, it's butter, yeah? It's basically butter with cheese. The only thing is you don't want to be eating too many of them, right? Because you're talking about high calories. So if you're on like a calorie deficit or you're trying not to gain a lot of weight, maybe stick to 1.
I'm going to try to adapt it for the home. I had to go to the fancy grocery store to get brioche buns.
Well, I see that we're using the good old seasoning cutting board. This is the cutting board that Adam swears enhances the flavor of the food. Is he takes the salt, he takes all the seasoning, and he rubs that into the cutting board, literally. And then the food, like the steak, whatever he cooks, he then rubs that into the seasoning on the cutting board. So basically, you're going to be getting a nice little bit of plastic seasoning, green plastic, which I'm sure has a nice little flavor to it, which you will add to whatever food you're cooking.
Cut that in half, and I'm just going to do 1 slice of cheddar and a slice of Swiss. I don't like quite so much cheese, but you do you, friend. Now here's my trusty 10-inch nonstick skillet. Gonna preheat it on medium, or maybe just a little south of medium. I'm gonna need a weight, and that is literally a brick that I found in my backyard. I'll wrap it in foil for hygiene.
You know, sometimes when they say you need a brick, it's a metaphor. You don't actually need to get a brick. Okay, I mean, it's a little bit of overkill. You know, a brick is like over 4 pounds, so you don't need like 2 kilos of something on a little grilled cheese to squish it down. You can do it with a spatula. Bricks are multi-purpose. You can use it to build, you can use it to cook your food, and you can use it to throw at someone too.
Melt a little butter in the pan. I'm not going to bother clarifying butter like they do at Okmulgee. They have a really hot grill, so they need to worry about the milk solids burning. That's why they take them out, but I don't think that we need to.
This is true. Normally when you make a grilled cheese, you don't want it on the highest setting, so your pan can't be screaming hot, because this is what happened with Gordon when he made his famous grilled cheese sandwich that burnt. He put it in the fireplace, the pan was way too hot, he burned the bread, the cheese wasn't melted, and he said it was the best grilled cheese in his life.
Hiya, you see? Bread burnt already. Cheese still solid. Hiya, Gordon, you know you fucked up. Just start over.
Lower heat means it cooks longer and it gives the cheese a longer time to melt.
When the butter's looking a little fizzy, I'll lay in the sandwich and on goes the brick. Really smash it in. I don't think that you need to do anything fancy with domes or steam. Between the brick and the walls of this pan, this is a pretty enclosed cooking environment. You can see the cheese melting easily there, maybe a little bit too much. I cooked it 5 minutes on the first side, probably too long, though boy, look at that gorgeous color.
Now guys, you remember that grilled cheese from the restaurant? If you compare the two of them, you can see that Adam's grilled cheese here is super clean. Super clean. It doesn't have all these little griddle bits and pieces that are sticking to it, all that fat and burnt shit. So whenever you go to a restaurant and if anything comes off of the flat top, the grill, whether it be chicken, whether it be a grilled cheese, whatnot, and it has a lot of little black bits on it, tell them in the kitchen.
Then rather than using a dome, I'm just covering it back with the brick again, cooking it for another 3 minutes. Really pretty color on both sides, super crispy. I'm just cutting it after the cooking is over because I don't really care if my cheese oozes. As you can see, because I cooked it a few minutes longer than Brandon did, the cheese melted right out of the sides. It's hard to call that a mistake though, because it resulted in these crackery bits of fried cheese around the edge.
You know what Adam forgot? He forgot to season the cutting board. Now personally in my house, I try to use my wood cutting board all the time. In the professional kitchen, in a lot of places in a lot of countries, we're not allowed to use wood. According to the health department in a lot of places, wood harbors bacteria. So if the wood starts to split, start to turn black, that's because bacteria has gotten into those crevices and they've started to fester and you can't clean that. So plastic is considered, or another form of plastic, a safer thing to use. Although you do have to admit that you see all those scratch marks and that does actually go in your food.
I'm gonna call that a happy little accident. Okay, now I'm gonna try to take this recipe off the kids' menu, as it were. Make it a little bit more grown up by dabbing some balsamic vinegar into both sides of the bun.
Balsamic vinegar! And so much of it too. It's not like he just brushed it on, he's like pouring it on. I don't think I have ever poured balsamic vinegar on my bread like this to make a grilled cheese. Honestly, I haven't done that.
Slice of Swiss, and then a few spinach leaves, cheddar on top, and then I'll fry that one as before.
Spinach leaves? What's he making here? Is he trying to make this like healthier? Like a little salad? Where's the olive oil?
My pan is a little hotter at this point, so I can try cooking it for less time. That was 3 minutes on side A, 2 minutes on side B, and you can see I lost a lot less cheese out of the sides this time. You know how grilled cheese and salad is a great combination? Well, this is that, except all in one bite. I'm sold.
I don't think I've ever heard that sentence. I mean, Gordon did put kimchi in his grilled cheese, which has a little bit of acidity, and he said in his video that he loves the acidity, so maybe Gordon would like this. I don't know.
The acidity of that kimchi and that bread cooked in the open fire.
Now let's try a more substantial version. Good layer of mustard goes on the top bun, then some dill pickle slices on the bottom, 2 slices of Swiss cheese, no cheddar, and then some Serrano ham, 2 slices. You could use prosciutto instead.
All right, there's a very famous grilled cheese sandwich here. It's called in Catalonia a bikini. I don't know why they call it that, but they call it that. And then in the rest of Spain, I think it's called a sandwich mixto. So it's a mixed sandwich. And what it is basically is pan bimbo. So it's like white bread, cheese, and then you put like jamon serrano, jamon iberico, whatever type of ham that you have. It's a grilled cheese with ham is what it is.
Now what we've got going here is basically a super thin Cuban sandwich. I'm just looking to see that cheese melting before I flip these. That was 4 minutes on side A and 2 on side B.
A Cuban sandwich? Well, I mean, it is pork, but a Cuban sandwich is with pulled pork, and they're tasty. They're delicious. Except for the one Jack tried to make. Hey, he looks a little bit like Wolverine right now, doesn't he? He has his little meat claws out. Oh!
Let's try this.
Oh no! Oh!
Just want to shred it. I just use it in my KitchenAid.
Undercooked.
And I'm very, very excited to eat that. But let's make one more. This one's for Lauren. She loves breakfast sandwiches. Beat 1 egg in a bowl, put in a little pepper and a pinch of salt. Then in some butter, we're gonna make a little half omelet. Pour it in and stir it until an even curd forms.
He's making his eggs a little more like Jamie. Truly, because Gordon doesn't add his salt until later. Because from what he was saying, it draws out the moisture and it can make them tough.
Tip the pan around to let egg run into the gaps, and I'm being sure to shape this into a half moon. I'll flip it over onto itself so that I've got a quarter omelet, and it should be really runny inside because it's going to get cooked again and we don't want it too dry in the end.
Really runny inside. Well, let's take another look at that. That doesn't look really runny. Me personally, I prefer my omelet more French, more the French method where it's wet. I do not like a dry omelet. Besides, when you try to take a bite, you need a sauce with it. Otherwise, you know, it's like eating sawdust.
Butter, bottom bun, and this time I'm going to use grated cheddar because I don't want too much cheese, but I do want it on both sides. Omelet, cheese, top bun, and with this one you got to gently lay the brick on.
Kind of looks like Adam's using pre-grated cheddar, or he may have done it himself. If you get the pre-grated stuff, they use anti-caking agents, so that cheese isn't the best to use with grilled cheese sandwiches. It'll still melt, but it won't melt the same as you actually grating your own cheese.
If you press down on it, it would squeeze the runny egg right out of the sides. 3 minutes on side A, 2 on side B. That seems to be a pretty reliable timing. And good morning, friends.
The only thing you're missing now is a little bit of sausage for a breakfast sandwich. Unless you go Southwestern style, which you change the bread for tortillas, you put a little bit of red sauce or green sauce, salsa verde, a little bit of beans, and a few other things, some cilantro and some salsa. It's delicious.
Yeah, if you pull the omelet when it's too runny, it's going to be perfect after you grill it in the sandwich. Which of these beauties am I going to eat?
Well, guys, which one would you pick out of all of these? Would you pick the simple grilled cheese? Would you pick the breakfast one? Would you pick his little version of the Cuban one? Or would you pick the salad, yeah, with the vinegar?
Who am I kidding? It's going to be the Cuban. Ham and cheese and pickles and mustard on fried sweet bread. That is everything I want in food right there.
If this was a Jack video, I'd have a feeling that he would go for the same one as Adam here. He'd pick the meat. I just have that feeling.
Look how juicy it is. Look at the pool. Look at that. That's great. This did a great job.
But let your imagination run wild. Just take this concept. The smashed brioche grilled cheese. The cupcake shops, this should be the new fad. And we can all thank the folks at Okmulgee Brew Pub in Macon, Georgia. Hashtag not an ad. I just like that place.
That was a good video. All in all, I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, we can nitpick, we can say this, that, or the other thing. I did happen to remake the first grilled cheese sandwiches in my review of grilled cheeses, so check that video out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It means a lot to me, and I will see you again very soon. Until then, take care.